Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today for our third assembly meeting of the So we have a few things on the agenda today. We'll have our guest speaker, Michaela, go first, and she'll talk to us about a few things around SABC and different funding. We have just a little bit of reports, and then I know we also have some new business at the end. So shouldn't be too long of a meeting, but we do have a few things to go over. So with that, hand it over to Michaela to go ahead and talk. I know you have slides, I believe, and make sure you can.
Thank you. And yes, I can share my screen.
Perfect.
All right. Actually, okay. Are you seeing my PowerPoint? Perfect. Okay. Hello, everyone. If I've not met you yet, these little boxes never work quite right when you have multiple screens. But anyways, I'm the coordinator of student organizations at Fraternity and Sorority Life, which means that I oversee everything that kind of ins and outs that deal with student organizations, including how they are funded, which oftentimes is by our Student Activity Budget Committee, which you all probably know more fondly as SABC. So to kind of get started, I wanted to kind of go over the different types of accounts that student organizations have on UMSL's campus. So every single student organization has a general operating account. These operating accounts are only for SABC funding. So in the past, student organizations have been able to deposit money into these accounts and use it as they choose, obviously underneath the university guidelines of spending money. But that just kind of gets confusing because something you may not know is at the end of each fiscal year, the university, any money that's in any of our operating accounts gets swept and absorbed back into the university to get shared out in the next year once they have all the budgets figured out. So if a student organization raised $500 or had $500 from like member dues and they put it in their general operating account, and then they're like, oh, we'll just use that for our kickoff event in August. Sadly, when the student organization comes back in August and you're like, hey, Michaela, I have that $500 to spend, I would have to say, you don't. The university swept it. I'm very sorry. So moving forward into the spring semester, we are no longer going to be letting student organizations deposit money into their operating accounts. So kind of what we are encouraging student organizations to do, which there are some student organizations that already have this, is to establish an off-campus bank account. So we used to encourage students to use US Bank because it was downstairs, it was easy. They could go down there, talk to them if they had questions about the paperwork or something. Like someone in our office might be able to help them a little bit as a like real adult that has had a bank account before, like set up a bank account maybe before. So obviously that's a little bit more difficult because there's not a bank on campus, but we really encourage student organizations to lean on their advisor for that process and help them through that process because they, like I said, have that maybe more real world experience to be able to do that. And then some student organizations have fundraising and gift accounts. Those get a little bit more in the weeds, a little nitty gritty, kind of confusing. There's a lot of rules around them. So if student organizations have them, they're usually aware of it because I've had to reach out to them or someone else from our office in the past had to reach out to them about their accounts. And so fundraising accounts is only for money truly fundraised. So let's say that you all a student organization was selling gift baskets to raise money for a homeless shelter in St. Louis. So that money that you raised is fundraised by the organization. So you would be able to put it in your account if you were like, maybe you're doing like 3 or 4 fundraisers throughout the school year to then donate like one lump sum in May. That would be something where you could donate that or put that money into the fundraising account until you have everything squared away to make that one donation. But there is very specific rules about what is considered fundraised dollars. So for instance, member dues are not considered fundraised. Those are considered just general operations of your student organization, the function of the organization, so that doesn't qualify as fundraising. And then gift accounts, even fewer student orgs have these gift accounts. Usually it's student orgs that maybe have had like a connection in the community. So the only one I can really think of right now is Accounting Club, for instance. They've done some work with Boeing to get some funding donated from Boeing. And so Accounting Club has a gift account because they had that large donation come in from Boeing. So that money needs to be able to sit somewhere because our fundraising and gift accounts do not get swept at the end of the fiscal year, which is why they're like kind of exclusive. Not a lot of organizations have them because we've only open to them if like there was like a situation that they needed it. But again, if the student organization had an off-campus bank account, that would be something you could use for any and all of these different types of dollars and funds that I've been talking about. And you wouldn't have to abide by the money spending rules of the university. Obviously, if you're using that money for an on-campus event or to pay for something that has to do with campus, there's rules that come with that. But as far as the spending of that money, you would not have to follow any of those university guidelines. So kind of to the Student Activity Budget Committee, how do you get that money into your account? I know there's been a lot of questions, particularly in this group, all over campus as well, about where we can find out more information about SABC. And literally, as of yesterday, I'd finally updated the student organization portion of the student involvement website. So there is actually a separate page for Student Activity Budget Committee on the OSI website. So you'll see right here, if you go to studentinvolvement.umsl.edu, and then you scroll down a little bit, it has a box for each different functional area in our office. If you click student organizations, right on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see Student Activity Budget Committee. I can actually show you. So this is student involvement website. Scroll down, student organizations, left-hand side. Why is it not there? Okay, we have to go to leader and organization resources, and then check out more about SABC. We have a whole page now. So if you're trying to submit a budget or purchase request, here's the video from Sol, and it tells you exactly which part of the video walks you through that exact function. If you want to read through the guidelines, there's a little brief section right here of what you can spend money on, but there's also a PDF linked right here that you can read the full document if you feel like it. If you're interested on being SABC, which we do need members, SGA needs members, senators as well. But if you're really trying to get involved on campus, you can be on SABC and be part of SGA as well. But we have information on how to do that there as well. And then I kind of wanted to briefly open the floor for a second. If there's anything on the OSI website that you've been like, I tried to find this on the website and I literally could not find it anywhere. What the heck, Mindy and Michaela, why is this not on the website? We would love for you to throw it in the chat or to tell us if you feel like unmuting, because we are always looking for ways to improve and get students the information they're looking for. So if there's anything that you've ever looked for and you're like, I need that to be on the website so I know where it's at and I know the information, please tell us. We would love that.
Michaela, what does being on SABC entail? You mentioned that you're recruiting members. What do those do?
Yeah, so if you serve on SABC, so basically we have a group of students, they all come together. Currently our meetings are Fridays at 2 p.m. It changes based on class schedules, as most of our campus meetings do. And they get together and they review the budget requests, or the requests that come in, which are budget requests. And actually that video on the SABC website, it also goes through how they review a budget request in the beginning of that video. But so they basically review it based off of a rubric. And then they also, a part of that rubric is like, how updated is the MyEngage page for this organization? Do they collaborate with other student organizations on campus? Stuff like that. So those last two actually account for bonus points as far as your budget is concerned. So maybe if like you were missing one piece of supplemental information in your budget request, maybe you got points back for having a really exquisite MyEngage page. So then you ended up getting the full percentage of funding that you asked for. And so those students, basically, we review on Fridays at 2. They go through each separate budget, look at the supplemental information, look at the need by date, and figure out, is this something that SABC is able to fund based on the information we have been given? And then after the rubric has been filled out by each of the members on SABC, my student program manager, and then the comptroller for SGA look over they look at the rubric and make sure that everything is good to go. They figure out, like, if someone said no or something like that, like a score was low for a budget, they figure out the percentage that means the organization gets. So they don't, when a budget is like, there's something wrong with the budget, we don't just say, no, you can't have this, or no, you can't have that. Like, we don't cut items out of your budget. We cut it by a percentage. So say, then you only get 80% of the funding. So then that's on the student organization to figure out, okay, if we only have $200 of the $300 we asked for, what do we want to buy and what do we want to not buy for this event? So that's what SABC does. Was that a good overview? I was talking in circles, I felt like, but
So basically, the members on this committee review the requests that determines if these student organizations get funding.
Yep.
And would you say that's like an hour commitment a week, or what would you think?
It's usually like 30 minutes, if not less. Our early budget request period, so like when people were requesting money for the first 4 weeks of school, I think that meeting went for a whole hour, just because there's inevitably more events in the first 4 weeks of school that people are asking for funding for, because everyone's having their kickoff events. But our weekly meetings, usually we end up actually only meeting every other week, because there's not as many budget requests every week that we feel we need to meet. And we always look at the need by date and all of that kind of stuff before we decide to not have a meeting. So recently it's been like bi-weekly 20 to 30 minute commitment. Actually, it has not been an hour. So if you have something at 2:30 on Friday, we could still maybe make it work. But yeah, next. So if you're looking to spend money, really any money that you have in a university account, the answer to your question is a purchase request on MyEngage. So when you're submitting a purchase request, we can order things from Amazon for you. We can order things from Staples from you. We can buy things from the Triton store for you. And then, as you probably know, we pay your MSC reservations if you have been allotted money for that, or have money in your account from like a fundraising or something like that. Sodexo orders, and then print shop orders, because those are kind of like internal university functions. We also handle the payment of that for you. But those also require a purchase request. In the past, we haven't required a purchase request for all of these items, but moving forward, we're going to try and keep the purchase request as like the one-stop shop for doing something. If you have bought something on your own, but your student organization was given money from SABC for that item, you also use the purchase request to request reimbursement for that payment or for that item that you purchased. Just remember that if you're buying something on your own and you pay tax, you will not be reimbursed for the tax, because our university is tax exempt. So you always have to make sure that, and if you wanted to buy something on your own and you don't want to have to pay the $4, $5, $20, however much it is for tax on whatever you're buying, you can always stop by our office and get a copy of our tax exempt paperwork. So then when you go buy it, you just have to show the cashier, like, we're tax exempt, I'm from UMSL. And we can give you pretty much a list of stores that will be easy at, or if it might not work out for you very well, to do a tax exempt purchase like that. So those are always things you can email me and ask questions about. But like I said, your best bet is to always submit a purchase request on MyEngage. And like I showed on the website, there's literally a YouTube video of our program manager, Kenny, walking you through exactly step-by-step how to create that budget request or purchase request. Sorry.
Michaela, we did have a question in the chat about, I think Beauty was mentioning, so the question is, are there additional requests from the same org throughout the semester? So I think she's asking, can one organization have multiple requests for funds?
Yes. So student organizations are able to make requests throughout the entire school year. We have like certain parameters of timelines of when our budget process opens and closes for each semester, but that's just due to like how long it takes us to order things for you. So if you're having an event for the fall semester, we probably need to order those items before December 1st. So for instance, any purchase requests for fall events are due on December 1st. That went out in an email, I think last week.
Okay, I think you're meaning spring semester.
Purchases for the fall semester, no, that's what I was talking about, December 1st.
Okay.
But so there is like certain parameters, but basically throughout the entire academic year, there is an ability to request SABC funding, and the only limitations is they're listed in the SABC guidelines. But one of the biggest like things that is limited is if you're doing giveaways, it's capped at $200 per academic year for giveaways. So if your student org has given away already, like they've requested giveaways for $100 to the Triton store, they only have $100 left to ask for giveaway money. That's the only thing that we really have a cap on. For further details on that though, definitely if you feel like reading the guidelines, they're actually not that long, I promise, and they make pretty good sense. So, and then you can also email me specific questions as well. Any other, was there a question?
Yeah, I think Bob has his hand raised. Bob, if you want
Oh,
to
yeah.
ask your question.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be trudging over stuff that's generally known, but I'm brand new here and to the university, and I'm a member from Artist Anonymous, so I'm representing here for that. So I'm just sort of gathering all this information, and then I'm trying to figure out what we need to do. So are you saying that there is an amount of money that's available through this for all of the organizations to use?
Yes,
And we
so
just-
each year,
Oh,
yeah, each
sweet.
year the university budgets to the Office of Student Involvement a specific amount of money that's just for student organization funding. And so then that process is then, all of that money is handled by our SABC. So that's like how we designate which organizations get what money. But basically that's based on who submits budget requests.
Okay. And then I earlier, right as I came in, you'd started talking about monies that we might have had left over. And this I have to check out because I was told that we had some money in an account. It may be an off-campus account, I don't know.
Right.
But are you saying that if it was in the main thing, it probably got absorbed or swept away by the university? It might have gotten used up.
Because of, if it wasn't on campus account, depending on some situations, I'm opening my spreadsheet to look. Because of COVID, there was like a substantial amount of money that certain organizations had in their accounts that our office fought to keep and not get swept, because like student orgs were anticipating having a full-fledged spring semester in spring 2020 and did not have that.
Sure.
So some student organizations do have money that has been carried over because of that, but that money is being swept at the end of this fiscal year. It must be in an off-campus. Hopefully it's in an off-campus account because I don't have
I
Artist
hope
Anonymous
so.
on my list.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope it's there. I'll check that out. I don't want to eat up too much of this time, but
Yeah, thank you.
that's very encouraging. We will figure things out as we're getting things figured out. We will reach out and talk about funding for like if we want to do events or giveaways or anything that we're trying to do with our student organization. Okay. Perfect.
Yep. Thank you. Then Nick had a question, I think. Did you answer that? Yep. Okay. Perfect. Okay. And then this is another like not really big change. It's just something that we're hoping to do to help student organizations out a little bit more. So if you're hoping to purchase t-shirts for your student organization, that company that you're ordering through must be able to provide you with a PDF invoice. So if they just give you a link and it just like opens to say like your total is $78.53. We can't, and then it has a button that says pay now. We can't pay that for you. We have to be able to call the company over the phone and pay them into their specific like system that they use. Not like if the company uses Zelle or PayPal or something like that as their like main banking function. Unfortunately, we aren't able to pay them with a university account because those systems, like I'm sure if you've been to a food truck, you swiped your card and then they texted you your receipt. All of a sudden you were like, how'd you know that? Because those systems keep your information. And at one point you said, I want a text receipt at a food truck, put in your phone number and they texted you. And now every single company that uses that system has Michaela Wells, my phone number, and that is connected to that card. And so unfortunately we aren't able to do payments like that. So if you're looking for a good t-shirt vendor that we know is able to provide that to us so we can pay it for you using your SABC funding, or if you have money in another account you would like to spend on that, definitely email me, reach out. I meant to put a contact page on the end of this PowerPoint, but I definitely forgot, but I will put my email in the chat for you. Actually, Mindy put it in there when she messaged Nick. So it's in there already. But you can email me and ask for that information. We're working on getting a list that's easily accessible on our website. So you won't have to email me. You'll be like, oh, these are some good t-shirt vendors I can use in the St. Louis area. Looks good. But that is one thing that's just really hard for our office to handle, is a bunch of different like random t-shirt companies and websites and all of that, and trying to figure out how to pay them without it storing our financial information, which is a big no-no from the university. Okay. And then, so I put C example on next slide for the invoice. So an invoice that we really need it needs to have the address of the company and a phone number. This one went above and beyond, has their contact that I was contacting, email, their website, all of that. It says when the order was created, what date it needs to be paid by. This is very important because that tells you what your need by date is when you put a purchase request in. And then it tells us on the back end what day we need to get our stuff together to make sure we call and make your payment, so that you're not getting called from 402 Inc. like, Michaela, why haven't you paid you owe us money. What are you doing? And then it tells us quantity, it tells us the total, all of that. That's all the information that we need. And it's very helpful. Like, you need to make sure that this is the information, and usually most invoices look similar to this. So if you didn't know what an invoice looks like, this is what a normal invoice looks like that a lot of companies use for financial things. And that's what an invoice needs to look like for our system in order for us to pay it. Say that you have a friend or someone you went to high school with has their own business. They sell t-shirts, but they use Zelle or PayPal to pay. If someone in your student organization, a parent that's supporting you in your student organization, has the funds to be able to make that purchase of t-shirts for you, and you can get paid back like 6 weeks later from the university, you can do that. You can make that payment, and you can then submit a reimbursement request. We just need information from whoever paid for the shirts in order to get them paid back. So that's usually in the form of a W-9 form, which that's getting into the weeds a little bit. So when you contact us for help with a reimbursement, I will help you with that. That same thing goes for if you say, so SABC pays for $8 worth of a shirt for you, but the jackets you wanted for your student org are $12, $15 a person. So basically then that extra $7 per jacket would be up to your organization and your members to pay for. So usually the best way that we handle this is our staff will call the place that the invoice is from, will pay the portion that SABC owes. So if you got 100 shirts or 100 jackets and we're paying $8 of each 100 jackets, we'll call and we'll make the payment from SABC for $800. And then they have your contact information. You're the person they are contacting. They will be calling you for the rest of the payment on that invoice. So that's usually what ends up happening if someone has an order for a t-shirt or like a jacket or items like that, SABC is covering part of the cost, but not all of it. And then again, that's when it's helpful to have that phone number to call, because otherwise you can't do like half and half payments on an online payment system. So that's where that comes in handy. Questions about anything I've talked about? I don't want to take up too much more of Joe's time.
I just want to piggyback real quick. I said, I know this was a lot of information, but I do want to encourage you to look on the website. Michaela spent some time and updated that. I think I've mentioned this in past SGA meetings that the OSI is very aware that there are a lot of policies. Where are they? How do people access them? And so that is our top priority. And Michaela spent some time yesterday getting this kind of confirmed. So make sure you check there if you have questions. I should let you know, SABC generally has about $40,000 a semester to allocate. And we have done a poor job of educating the campus community on that resource. So please make sure you take this back, run back to your organization this afternoon and be like, we need to get some money, because that is the money from the OSI budget we put aside to support student orgs. So if you all don't use it, it gets swept back to the UM system, and that's baloney. So ask for money. Michaela, do you by chance?
We will use all that money up for you.
Yes, it gets swept. Michaela, do you have any idea, and I'm putting you on the spot totally, how many funds you've allocated this semester already?
I'm not quite sure. I do know we've used more than we have in the past before COVID, like that we have historically. So that's good. That means our student orgs have been using it. They've been making sure that we have events going on campus. Really appreciate it. I don't have an exact number, but I was pulling up my dates that I sent out in our SABC updates. So the last day to submit a budget request for the fall is Thursday, November 18th. So that's an important date. That's a budget request.
Okay, I'm putting that in the chat.
And then those purchase requests for those budgets, if you're allocated that money, that is what has to be submitted no later than December 1st.
Perfect.
So
And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, say that again, if you would, say that again. November 18th for purchase request for next fall.
nope. So budget request. So the SABC process, it's a little confusing. You've never done it. I understand. You submit a budget request. SABC reviews the budget request. You get allocated money based off of that request. And then the purchase request is basically the thing that's saying, we need you to buy this item for us, or we need to be reimbursed for this item. So the budget requests are due Thursday, November 18th. And then those purchase requests, so anything for any money that's been allocated this fall, all of those purchase requests need to be submitted by December 1st at 11:45 p.m.
And Michaela, would
And
you?
it's for this fall, sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
please go ahead. Yeah. Okay, so Michaela, would you just attach the OSI website to the chat,
Oh, yeah,
the link? Yeah, thank you.
I'll do the SABC one. Take you right to it. And then if you're ever on a page on the OSI's website and you don't know how to get back to the home page, or you're confused where you came from, at the top left hand of every website on UMSL's website, it says UMSL and then the department that you're on. So our website says UMSL Student Involvement. If you click that logo in the top left, it takes you back to our homepage. So you can always go back to square one very easily by clicking there. Any other questions?
Okay, well, Michaela will probably be popping by at least once a semester to this group. We're also kind of game planning how to be more transparent and educate the greater community on these really awesome resources. So this is step one. So get your money.
Right.
And Michaela is your staff member who knows all of those questions. Anyone in the OSI will be knowledgeable eventually, but Michaela is the area expert on SABC funds and student org requirements.
And where are you guys usually located? Like, Michaela, where are you usually located on campus? And where are you usually located on campus, Mindy? Like, are you all in the same office or?
Yep, so we're on the 3rd floor of the MSC. So when you come up the escalators, you see the admissions office to your left. If you keep going, right before you get to the bathrooms and the vending machine, we're right there to the left.
Okay, on the 3rd floor.
Yep, so across from the
highest
central
floor?
room. Yep,
Okay,
so if you've been in an event at our sensory rooms, like the big meeting rooms in the student center, we're essentially across the hall from them, but there's rooms in the middle. So we're across the big hallway, not the little hallway.
okay.
Yes. And then just so everyone kind of is aware, we work in the office 3 days a week and we work from home 2 days a week. So if you're hoping to catch us, it's probably best to email us and ask what days we'll be in the office or set up a meeting with us. Because it's not always, there's today, I'm the only staff member here. So if you were coming to ask for anything about the student center or anything not related to student orgs or fraternity sorority life, you'd be out of luck.
All right, well, if there are no more questions for Michaela, thank you for coming to speak with us about that. I know there've been a lot of questions regarding that, so we appreciate your time, taking your time out of this Friday. And just as a reminder for everyone, I know we talked about last meeting about having more guest speakers, so we're going to kind of continue trying to bring people in just to talk about a few different things. We're going to try to get Tanika Bush next time. That's our hope, just to talk about overall budgets and stuff around students. So thank you again, Michaela. All right, so we'll move on to our next order of business. So we just have a quick report for you. So I'm going to pass it to Mindy quickly to talk about the Board of Curators student rep position and give a quick update about that.
Hi again, everyone. I'm Mindy Dilly, she, her, hers here, and I am the Associate Director of Student Involvement, but I'm also the staff advisor to SGA. So you get to see my lovely face in these meetings. I have talked about the Board of Curators student rep, excuse me, on the application process the past couple of meetings. I just kind of want to give you all an update that the applications were due about 2 weeks ago. We actually received a pretty decent quality candidate pool. And the next step in that is that those candidates will go through an UMSL student interview. And then that student board will create a list of four to six folks that we are then going to submit up to the inter-campus, Joe, what is that thing called?
Inter-campus Student Council.
Yeah, so that is the student governments from all 4 system campuses. They will then interview our top 4 to 6 choices, and then they will submit their top choice to the governor. So if you've missed the first couple chats, the Board of Curators has a student rep from one of the 4 campuses. They rotate every 2 years, and it is UMSL's turn. So that's the process we're in. So we've got some good candidates to represent you, and that notification will be made public once it's done. So great job. Thank you for everyone for sending the application far and wide.
Thank you, Mindy. And yeah, we'll keep you updated as that process goes on. So the next thing is our senator filing. So we reopened the special election senator filing. So that will be open until November 12th. So that is next week. So we're still looking for more senators. I know a few people have already filed. So if you're here and you have filed, just know, like, once the filing is done, then you'll receive an email about us about the next steps. But the election will take place that next week after that, and then new will begin December 3rd. So if anyone is interested, or you know of anyone that's interested in being a senator, we encourage you to file. We're always looking for more people, and we really do need some more senators right now. So we kind of get going with a lot of the stuff we want to do. Just like I know a lot of people here are new, so just kind of give like a brief rundown of what like the senator position entails. So you will be at like these meetings. We usually meet once a week on Fridays at this time as well. Sometimes, like, depending if there's no information, it might be every other week, but just to go over the stuff that was talked about. You'll also serve on some committees, usually 1 or 2, and those will meet anywhere from once a semester to once a month. And they'll kind of plan that around like the schedules of the people in the committee. And you'll also take a couple hours a week in our office, which is on the 2nd floor of the MSC. That's right by the bridge there on the corner with the window. You probably walked by it a few times in the class, or if you've been in the MSC. So you just spend a couple hours there where you'll just, like, if students walk by and have questions, kind of help point them in the right direction, or work on any other senator related business. So if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to any of us in the SGA. But yeah, we encourage you. There's another week. It's open for another week. So we encourage you to file if you are interested in getting more involved on campus. The last thing I have is programming for next semester. So we're trying to think about the things that SGA wants to do next semester, as well as just like, for programming throughout the semester. So we're looking to try to do a few more events. We recently held our cleanup event that we helped with the UMSL sustainability group on campus, and that actually was very successful. I believe we had over 40 people there, Mindy, correct? Yeah, so we had a lot of people there to help clean up. We teamed up with some of the athletic department to help get some more people there, and it was really successful. So we want to do a lot more. So some of the events, we could do more events like that, where it's like a community service events. We can go out in the community. We could do just, some relaxed, some study sessions where maybe we have, around midterms or finals, and just have some food or some donuts and stuff for students. It's a chance to just relax around those times. It could be a few other things if you have other thoughts or ideas. So we just kind of wanted to ask you we are also planning on having the Safe Walk that we've had in the past at the end of next semester. So we're going to be starting to work on that. It's an event that obviously we weren't able to hold last year with COVID, but we want to bring that back. So that is another event that we're planning to do. But we just wanted to see if you had any ideas. So if you do, like, feel free right now, just kind of unmute yourself and just suggest anything. Honestly, there are no bad ideas here, but if you don't, that's okay. And if you think of something that maybe you want to see SGA do, you can also just feel free to reach out to us through email or at another meeting.
What is the Safe Walk?
Oh yeah, so Good question. So the Safe Walk is an event that the SGA has hosted in the past. So basically, we'll do it at night. So it's basically a chance for students to kind of walk around campus and talk about like some of the areas that they think need improvement on campus to make it safer. So we'll do it in groups. So we'll meet everybody that wants to be a part of this will meet up at a certain location, and we'll have like administrators there and stuff as well. And we'll meet up and we'll break off into groups, and each group will go around a certain part of campus and just kind of like take notes of everything that they see wrong. Maybe it's like, yeah, the lighting is bad, or there needs to be, the blue light phone isn't working, or, just whatever they feel would make the campus safer in that area. And then they'll basically write it all down. And then I, as the SGA president, will compile a report from that, and it will go to facilities. And then facilities will take a look at those things and try to make progress in some things that the students want. So it's a chance for student input and staff input and faculty and administrative input, just kind of talking about what on campus needs to be improved.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Joseph, by the way, I know we're talking about the programming for next semester, but we're going to have the MLK Day later this year, the Martin Luther King's Day.
Yeah, no, I know we can. It's just Mindy want to talk. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, good question. Sorry, I didn't catch who asked that, but so the MLK Day of Service is a initiative by the Office of Student Involvement that SGA has been heavily just involved with. Fortunately, unfortunately, excuse me, I'm kind of getting over a cold, so I'm kind of that this year, like last, it will still be like a virtual opportunity to do some community service. That particular event, we work with our United Way contacts, and a lot of those organizations are still kind of only allowing very small groups in person, if that. So this January, more information will probably come in the next few weeks. Forum Patel is actually organizing that. More information will be coming out about that, but there'll be some really cool opportunities to get some service virtually. Either you can come pick up a kit to make cat toys, which is what I did last year, or card making for some area nursing homes. There will be some opportunities, and that information will be coming in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or ideas for programming for SGA next semester?
I do. So what,
Yeah.
as a senator, I know you, what exactly would you be doing? Like what would be your job as a senator?
Yeah, so once we get a full Senate, we'll be able to have a more clear sense. But basically, so you'll serve on these committees, and these committees will be like, it could be like there's facilities committee, like a student affairs committee, one about retention and recruitment. And so you'll be like the student voice on that. So like in those committees, like there's like usually faculty on them as well. Some of them have administrators on them, some of them don't. But you're basically serving as like the student voice. So providing your input, providing questions or stuff or anything. And you'll also be bringing that back to this group. So you'll share the information from those. You also just like, as a senator, you have a chance to really provide your voice in other places as well. So if you have an idea of something you want to see happen on campus, being a senator is a really good chance to have like kind of a role where you will know and can kind of get help to where to reach out to and who can help you with that on campus, as well as you just want to do a project. So like we're talking about programming, maybe you want to help create a service event for students in like the Normandy community or something. Being a really good chance to like have the resources and stuff to kind of plan that out and help out with that. So it's just a chance to really be like, you're basically serve as the voice for the students at like these committees, around talking to administrators, talking in these different groups and different spaces. Is that clear, or is that how? Okay.
Yeah. Do you have to go to Jefferson City, like to the Capitol every once in a while? It's just like a senator for campus.
Yeah, so this is strictly for campus. So like Jefferson City, that would be more like ASUM, like that group does that stuff where they'll go to Jefferson City. We like to work with ASUM just to have like updates to see what they're doing. They like work with us. But no, this is strictly campus. it's basically you just have the meetings on Fridays, and any committee meetings are your like required, as well as like just a couple hours that you get to pick when you're free, just in the office. And then whatever else you want to do on top of that is really up to you. But we encourage just trying to like any opportunities for finding your voice on campus.
Mhm.
I see Bob has your hand raised, so you can go ahead and.
Yeah, I was just going to type it out because unfortunately I'm going to have to leave. But I wanted to say that we're Artists Anonymous is meeting next week on Wednesday, and we're going to be getting our group together and talking about a whole list of different things that we want to do, which I'll then throw out to you. They're different community events. Like we've got a wall in Wellston that we're going to be doing a mural on that we want student involvement in, and we want to do some other events with music and art all on campus and for helping the community. But I wanted to say that I know that part of this is that we want to work with all the other groups in any way that we can. Like if you're doing something, we want to show up and bring art and music to whatever it is you're doing. We want to help everybody make their things work. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. Please reach out to us. We'll reach out with a bunch. We've got so many ideas. I don't even think we can get them done possibly, but we're going to work on them. But if anybody needs to conjoin with us, anybody wants us to have something going on, we want to team up and do whatever we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that, and for every other group on here. That's awesome. And I think we also we really want to team up with other groups as well. So I know SGA would love to team up with you on different things.
Yeah.
I think anytime groups on campus can team up with each other to work on stuff, it usually makes the event even better than it could have been. So thank you so much for saying that. And it is a good reminder to work together on these projects and these different events.
Bob, when do you all meet and where do you all meet?
Great questions. We are having our first meeting next Wednesday at 2:00 over at the FAB building in the 3D design room. It's on the top floor. You're welcome to come and sit in on it. That's the first one that we're having this year. It is being immediately followed up by a mural meeting because they're discussing doing a mural class over the summer. So Dr. Quigley is going to be doing a meeting that everyone's that could possibly be interested in is welcome to join. Can come to that as well. So as far as a regular basis, I'm not 100% sure. We're supposed to do it in the first couple. We kind of squeeze this one in. I'm sorry, it's supposed to be the third week of the month, but we squeezed this one in because Thanksgiving and the holiday. We thought let's try to get the meeting in early and get set up for the next year.
Mm-hmm. So next Wednesday at 2 p.m. at the Fine Arts Building in the graphic design room. Yeah,
it's a 3D. Like as soon as you walk in, just to the right, you'll see a whole crowd of people over to the right.
Okay.
Well, hopefully it's a whole crowd of people. We'll see. It could be just me. You come and see me. I'll be there for sure. 2:00. And I know our faculty advisor will be there. So there's at least 2 other people going to be in the room. You come and join us.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I got to go. I'll see you all. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for attending. Are there any other questions or comments about programming or anything? If not, we'll go ahead and move to new business. So I know to start out new business, I know we had a student, is Stephanie here?
Yeah, I'm here. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm in my car and I'm using my phone hotspot.
So far, so good. We can hear you. So.
Oh, actually, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm here because can I actually share my screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you have the ability to do that. Actually, I don't know if I can. Mindy, can you give her the ability to share screen?
I think I have it.
Oh, okay. Then go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Stephanie, I'm not sure if the hotspot is going to support screen share. Is anyone else seeing? Because yeah, I am not hearing anything.
Either am I.
Yeah, I can't hear anything either.
Okay. So,
You may need to exit out of screen sharing because I think it's affecting your sound.
This on my iPad. Oh.
So I think we might have lost Stephanie. Hopefully she's able to hop back on. She had some stuff to talk about. So hopefully if not, hopefully she can be here next time, but we'll let her talk again if she can come back on. But is there any other new business that anybody would like to bring up? Or just other questions? I see Malik, you have your hand raised, so you can go ahead.
Cool. Y'all can hear me, right? Yeah, cool. So I had a few sort of questions. The first one was like, as we see like a lot more discussions about issues on climate change and green energy and all of these other topics, I'm just kind of curious as to what is the university currently doing to sort of ensure that we're trying to increase the green energy we use, and especially with the, I believe it's the 10-year plan that they're having or encouraging. I just kind of would love to hear a little bit more information about like, what does that look like in terms of bringing in green energy and phasing out energy that may not be as green, and also advocating for green energy in the St. Louis region, because I do think it is important to one, just make sure our region is healthier and we have just energy that's going to actually last for the future, right? So that future students can enjoy the world we're living in and can get a good education in a healthful St. Louis. But also like the advocacy part is also a big part of it, because we can't do it alone as the university, right? So we have to have like other people be on board. So I'm just wondering if it's possible we could get someone to speak on like the 10-year plan in the future, maybe, and speak on how are we going to make sure that green energy is a part of this 10-year plan, and how are we going to ensure that, you know, get the university as close to being 100% green if possible, but as close to it as possible. Just wondering if we could get someone to speak on that.
Absolutely. So I think Daryl Ives would talk about this, since he is like the one that has like all the stuff at the plan and the plans going forward for facilities and all the different things they're doing on campus. So I'll reach out to him, because I don't really have like answers like right away, obviously, about like what exactly UMSL's doing, but I'll reach out to him to get him to come to hopefully December's meeting then. If not, obviously we'll work with him to try to get him to at least one of these meetings. But I have reached out to him in the past and he's wanted to come talk here. So I think he'll be good to talk to, and he'll have like information about this, and we can ask him those questions too, because they obviously are really, really important. And then we can also move forward from there, talking we can see as well. I see Stephanie's coming back in. But does that sound good, Malik? Or
oh yeah, that sounds good. And I guess that was just a major question that I was having, because I know like in terms of just protecting our earth so that future students can actually go to school is kind of important. And I mean, it would even be profitable for UMSL to do it in the long run, because if we don't have a healthy earth for people to go to, like no one's going to be going to school, you know? So I think also my other question is sort of more towards it sort of came up when we mentioned Martin Luther King Day. I'm just kind of curious, how are we going to ensure that Martin Luther King's economic legacy, like his economic dream, is realized? How are we gonna, how are we as a, maybe not as a, or gonna at least advocate for that? Yeah, that's
Yeah, no, I think with that, I think we can, like, when we're talking about programming too, maybe Malik, if you want to work, we can work SGA, work with secular students or anybody that wants to, and maybe do some type of event where just talk about some of those things, some of his visions, different types of ideas that he had. And so we can kind of, some more students are aware and kind of, and see kind of where we go from there for advocacy. So I'd be happy to work with, I think everyone at SGA would be happy to work on that. Stephanie, I see you're back.
Yeah, so I think I'm connected to the Starbucks Wi-Fi. Hopefully
Okay.
that'll work a little bit better. I don't have to share my screen though if it's gonna make it more difficult. I don't have like a lot of photos or anything. Really, I can just talk. So essentially the short story of it, the biology department combined with the sustainability department planted a bed of native grasses and wildflowers outside of Sadler Hall in 2017. And then last summer they were removed and replaced with sod. I have recently been able to discuss with Daryl Ives, the executive director of the facilities department, and he said that the reasoning, which actually you guys talked about, this safe walk that you guys had previously done, and he said that the reasoning was that students had come to him and said that they felt unsafe walking by this area because the plants had become too tall and there was not, the maintenance plan that was put in place was not implemented very well. And so some of the species of plants had become overgrown, and it just, the actual maintenance wasn't being taken care of. We're wanting to, I have this petition, I have like 651 people, I think, that have like signed on this petition. And this is me as a person, but also within my evolution class. That's kind of how this all got started. And then I also am now an officer with Environmental Adventurers Organization. They are not like directly involved with this, so this is more like me and Dr. Patricia Parker and Dr. Amy Dunlap all kind of talked about it and how we were upset that they removed these plants. And I finally was able to get a meeting with Daryl Ives, and he has said that it's not impossible for us to do another native plant like area, just not in that specific area because of the low visibility if the plants are to grow, and that we have to have a better maintenance plan in place. My hope here, me and Katie Mike from the UMSL Sustainability Department have come up with some ideas that we thought that might work to help, like either like so specifically our groundskeeping department currently only has three workers. We can have a max of 5, which still seems like a very small number of people for the amount of land that UMSL owns, but we only have 3, and so they are the ones that are expected to do all of the work right now. And they're not there to do these native grass or these native like these special projects. They're there to maintain like the rest of campus, because not only are they maintaining like the greenery and that type of stuff, but they're maintaining like the roads and everything else. So it's not feasible for them to be put in the position to be expected to maintain those types of things, which is why in the proposal that was originally made in 2017, they said that they were going, that like, student volunteers were gonna weed out the area, and they did do that, but then I think COVID happened, and essentially it just became too bad. And then some students, like I said that they didn't feel safe walking by because they felt like with the tall grasses, like people could be around just like right around the bush or whatever, even though it's not a bush, but just right around. And, so some of the ideas that Katie Mike, the faculty member from UMSL Sustainability, and I have come up with, more so her, she had these ideas and I'm just here to bring them here, we've thought about if there was any way to implement to propose the implementation of a green fee into our tuition. I have found numerous schools that have implemented these green fees, and it's not like you're adding on a ton of money onto tuition. I mean, it can be something as simple as like $5, like for tuition. And let me see if I have, here's this. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, the University of Michigan, the University of Tennessee, and then there's another one here that I can't tell exactly who it is, but I have 4 different ones that I know have implemented it and it has been successful for, as well as I know that Mizzou, who's within our, like the UM system, they have an extension program for native grasses and prairies. So I feel like as UMSL, like we should be able to implement some type of green fee that would mean that we could have this area and that it could be maintained. And then the question is who's maintaining that? Is there a specific person that is like that's their job title is to maintain these like native grasses, or what's there? I'll go over the other 2 things and then I'll stop talking and let everyone discuss if they have questions and whatnot. But the other, and one of the things would be, and Katie Micah said that she would be willing to take on like a graduate assistant or a teaching assistant position, but we would combine like that position would be combined with the biology department and the UMSL sustainability and grounds department. So that would involve, a professor would have to, from the biology department would have to say, yes, I'll take on this graduate assistant, and then Katie Mike would take, like, it would be like a co-advisor type situation. And then the last thing that Katie Mike talked about yesterday after the meeting with Daryl was the idea of creating a like overall protocol for landscaping on campus, because currently it doesn't appear that there's like a set in official protocol for the grounds. And I think that I think it specifically what she's talking about here, I think is like, these plants were removed, but it was a more unilateral decision and it wasn't discussed with the people that planted them, even though they had received like, it had been granted permission to plant them. And I think that like there should be like a type of, communication protocol set in place, but also just like, how are we going to take care of it? That aspect of it, I would need to be contacted through like the grounds department. We would need to see what type of things they already have in place. And then we, could go forward from that. But I just wanted to kind of bring it to SGA and say, hey, like I made this petition because we want to bring back this native wildflower, native grass area. Do you guys think, like, what do you guys think about this? If you guys have any ideas on how anything like that could be implemented? And then if like the green fee, if that was even something that makes sense for UMSL. So essentially just those type of questions.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie, so much. I know, Malik, you said you had something right away, so I'll go ahead and pass it to you.
Cool. Yeah. So I love the idea of like ensuring that we have more green spaces on campus and ensuring that they do continue. I think my only concern, like I like I understand like UMSL students tend to be on the lower end of the when it comes to family income and all that. So when it comes to like increasing the tuition even more, I do have a few concerns about that, but I do think it would be worthwhile to do that. And I also think working with ASTEM could be a good thing. So the Associated Students of the University of Missouri, they could, we could work with
Yeah.
them to advocate for getting more funding to the university that could specifically go to building more green spaces. And also, I do know there's a few locations, even on South Campus, that I think could be potential spots for more green spaces. Like I know around, I believe it's Seton and the nursing building. Like there is like this sort of space that's just kind of, it just kind of is there. And it has like maybe a small little old raggedy bench, and that's about it. So I think there are some spaces there that could be utilized. But yeah, I agree with the idea of increasing more green spaces. I think a part of it is also working with the ASIM to advocate for funding for those, especially knowing that UMSL student population does tend to be on the lower end of the financial spectrum compared to the other schools that you mentioned. So I'm all for the idea. I think just working out how we're going to get funding for it is going to be a bigger thing, but I think urging our state government to fund the school more and to maybe have a specific initiative where they fund green stuff will be important.
Yeah, even if it wasn't like the green fee and it wasn't put on like the students, if it was something more like a grant. Now I just don't even know how to begin to go about something like that. And that would be another thing that like,
Yeah, I think
does anyone here know?
I think I know of a grant. I'll have to see if there's still if it's still open and available. I'll forward that information to you. I think I sent you my email in the chat, but yeah, I can, if I find this grant, I'll see if I can send it to you and see if they can give you information, or I'll ask the person who sent it to me initially more about where to find other grants.
Okay, yeah, no, that would be great. And I just copied your email.
Mindy, do you have something to say?
Yeah, so just kind of piggybacking off of Malik, I think some initiatives is a great idea. I think education, because to be quite honest, I don't even think students and campus members even realize the importance and like the beauty of those native grasses. I think we just see really tall weeds that are not being maintained, you know? So I think definitely some education could be a great opportunity. Along with the fees, I don't want to speak too out of term because it's not my realm, but I am under the understanding that UMSL specifically, we aren't able to do individual like student fees for services. So like, for example, a lot of universities have like a student involvement fee that students pay, not at UMSL. UMSL pays like one packaged lump, and then my office gets part of that. But there isn't like an allocated $10 a person. But I think Malik was kind of onto something about maybe talking to ASIM about, well, how can we get more of that lump to those initiatives? So
yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea. Also, with the not being like people not being informed about what that area was, Katie, Mike, and I talked because they had plans to put like a big sign saying like, hey, this is a native grass, wildflower. We're doing it to, protect and promote, or protect the environment, promote ecological development and all this stuff. But I think that sign just didn't get didn't get implemented in the right time. And so then it was just like, and also the head groundskeeper, Gregory Ward, he took what we had there at the that little like, I don't know, trapezoid area of right in front of Sadler, and he pushed it out to Bug Pond. And so my petition actually says bring back the native grasses for Bug Pond. And I've now been corrected that those native plants are still essentially there. They just really mowed down what we had at that wedge because students weren't feeling safe. So I do need to change the title of that, but yes, and just getting like having in maybe, you know, environmental and adventurers organization should be able to do something where we like are being more informative about the like importance of the native grasses and wildflowers. And I've also come into contact with groups that are outside of UMSL, like Wild Ones and the Missouri Prairie Foundation and all of that type of stuff, that they are really like, they want to see our schools are not just UMSL, but like, you know, Washington University and or not, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that's right. Washington University. Because WashU has a very like a native area, a native plant area. And so they've been like, oh, well, UMSL should have that too. And yeah, anyways, I'm kind of rambling now, but I think that we should make an effort. And if that's an EAO effort or if that's another organization's effort, to just inform the students of why we are doing what we're doing and why it's important.
Yeah, so I can just kind of jump in with a couple of things. First of all, with like the ASUM stuff, Stephanie, I know we kind of emailed before. I can email and connect you on an email with both UMSL's ASUM leader and the overall system ASUM leader, just to talk about this. And that way you can kind of present the information and talk about this with them, just so they know and they can go advocate for that at, you know, in Jeff City or at the system level as well. Because I know sometimes with like funding too, like some of our funding, it depends on what like the curators, which we have the student rep soon too, and the like system says too. So like they're huge for advocating for that as well. The other thing I was going to say is like you're talking about like some of the like, you know, educational informational opportunities, and I think SGA could like help team up with your org and like the groups, and we can, you know, some of the groups outside of UMSL you were mentioning, maybe we can bring someone from there on campus to talk, or maybe we just find different areas to put like signs and stuff, or just host a different event and stuff and try to make some of these things more known to students. So I think SGA would love to like help with that and try to get some of those so we can get more of that information out to students.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. And definitely if you could email me over those contacts.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other thoughts on this? Does anybody have any anything to add? If not, thank you, Stephanie, for bringing that up. I think we'll continue to like talk about this, hopefully at the next meeting as well. I think, yeah, I agree with Malik there. I think I love the idea, and I think there's a lot we can do. And I hope SGA we can try to help as much as we can as well. And work on some of these things, some of the funding and advocating for that as well, because this is definitely very important. So thank you so much for bringing this up.
Yeah, and thanks for having me, guys. I was sorry that my Wi-Fi cut out there for a good minute, just on my lunch break at work. So
totally understandable. I think we've all been there at least once. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. I'm gonna head out because I got to get back to work. So
sounds good.
Meeting, guys. Yeah.
So are there orders and points of new business or any questions? If not, I'll give it another second here. If not, then this meeting is adjourned. So thank you all for being here. Hopefully we kind of continue to talk about some of these things in the future and kind of keep it going. Our next meeting is December 3rd, I believe. Yes, December 3rd. So hope to see you all then again. A reminder, we'll kind of have hopefully some guest speakers, but we'll make sure to email and give all the information out beforehand as well. So thank you so much, and everybody have a